Testing, testing. Good evening and welcome to tonight's driver's ed class. As we normally do, I need you to sign in on your phone. Remember to put your name over there on the side. So we'll wait for people to jump on in before we get going. I don't know about you, but the weather is kind of crazy right now. Hopefully we won't lose power. I hope wherever you are, you're nice and cool, because in this room, being surrounded by windows, it is warm, warm, warm. All right, good, good. Almost up to 3/4 of a class. For some of you, remember you have to do your questions from last night, from chapter 3. You have to go to the remote Facebook page to click on the link. It also gives you your password to get in to do the homework. I need that. That has to be sent in to me. I need a record that you're doing your questions. And also remember, at the end of your chapter, at the end of the chapter, there are chapter questions that I need you to complete and send in. I only have, I believe, one drive time for tomorrow, unless someone has something open during the middle of the day. So let's kind of take a look here. I've got 5 o'clock open tomorrow, 1 and 2. If anybody has like a F period, I could do an F period, I think, is tomorrow. But other than that, I just got 5 o'clock. And then Friday, I've got 4 and 5. All day Saturday. So if you start wanting to request times on Saturday, do so. And I'll try to squeeze you in on Saturday. So I'll take a look at who's texting in, because I can't look at it right now. So I'll put that out again when we get to the end of tonight's class. Last night's class, we ended on the topic of stopping. So, yeah, I see people texting in already about drive time. So I'll get back to the drive times a little bit later after class. So I'll go through my messages, because I can't look at my phone and up here and see every single one, because it doesn't stay for more than just a couple seconds. But as I said last night, I thought the state did a good job talking about stopping before they talked about the topic of speed. Because I think if you always drove your vehicle thinking about what you're able to do in regards to stopping, having control of the car, you're never going to get out of control. The problem with speed, and cars are built to go fast, is that we get too comfortable going above what we know to be the legal speed limit. Now remember, just because you're going over what the legal speed limit is, it doesn't really make you an unsafe driver. It does make you where you're breaking a traffic law, but it's not like you're not going to be able to stop or handle an emergency that's coming up, just because our roads are built a certain way, our cars are built a certain way, that technically and mechanically we could probably handle better higher speeds if our roads were built a little bit wider and we had more lanes rather than single lanes on a lot of our state routes. Why am I still got this on? All right, here we go. All right, we're losing people. Okay, so we're going to have to answer some questions tonight so I know who is still here, because we do not have a good amount of people. All right, let's take a look at speed. I always like showing this particular video before we start talking about speed, because most people have been in cars that have gone excessively beyond what is the legal limit. So my question to you, have you ever been in a vehicle, and I don't want you to answer it here on YouTube, all right? If you want to answer it on your phone and send it to me, it's just kind of interesting to see how many people have been in a car. Have you been in a vehicle close to 100 miles per hour? We know there are no legal speed limits in this country of allowing you to go at 100 miles per hour. Now, in some countries, like where the Autobahn is, you are able to go at those high rates of speed, but not here. But we find ourselves on back roads, on straightaways on 95 or maybe the Spalding Turnpike, where we're going 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. Look at people are answering the question. So that's kind of interesting. So let's take a look. What makes a person uncomfortable with speed? So I'll show you a person that is a little uncomfortable with speed. So let's see if I can find Jeff Gordon. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nice and easy. You'll just head on out and whenever you're ready.
Are you ready to go ahead and,
Yeah.
and drive? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Oh. Whoa.
That's all right.
A little more than I'm used to.
Yeah. Oh, that's, it's got some power, so just get a feel for it. Okay. Okay, all right. Ease off just a little. Ease off.
So I was thinking, put a little more age on me, some wrinkles, a little dorky, maybe some facial hair. It was somebody that I can pull off a fun prank with. Let's go have some fun. My good friends at Pepsi Max have hooked us up with this cool cam. So these are the glasses cam that show you everything that I see.
How you doing?
Hello. I'm Mike.
Steve, nice to meet you, Mike. I saw you sort of gravitated towards the Camaro. You thinking about getting one?
Oh, no. This way too much car for me.
Well, it's a lot of power, but they've designed it to be very safe.
I don't know if I can handle it. I've never driven anything like this before.
Well, I tell you what, I think a way to really make you feel comfortable would be to put you behind the wheel.
You're good.
What are you driving now?
Oh, just a minivan.
Oh, yeah.
What am I
You're not
signing
obligated.
here?
You're
You
not,
sure?
it's just a checkout sheet for a test drive. You're not obligated to anything. It's just so we know who's out. Let's go give it a drive.
I'm getting a little nervous.
No, I'll be right there beside you. There are your keys, sir.
Thank you, Steve.
You'll have to unlock it, Mike.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. What a car. Mm-hmm. Well, we better buckle up.
Yeah, good call. Yeah. Power door locks. Standard, of course.
You are liable for any damages to the vehicle, so please stop the car, or at least slow down. Slow down. Slow down. You can't go through that gate, Mike. Stop! Stop! I'm gonna get you.
Watch it! Watch out!
You're gonna wreck this car, and you're liable for it if you wreck it. Mike, stop the car! Stop the car right now!
Get up here! Yeah! No, oh my God! Just take us back. Oh, no.
You all right over there, Steve?
Oh, you're an idiot! I'm gonna kill you!
Oh, stop! Oh, God almighty! Oh, God damn!
What the f do you think you are?
What do you mean?
I'm calling the cops.
No, you don't understand. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. No, it's just a prank. We're just having fun. Look, this is a camera. Here's a camera. There's cameras. Look, it was all just fun. Look, I'm Jeff Gordon. Sorry, man. Sorry.
Wanna do it again?
Yeah.
Now, what I take away from that video is that he had true emotions of fearing for his life when someone was driving that erratically. Now, was he unsafe? It certainly felt like it. It certainly felt like he was going to lose his life or get injured. But yet when they got back to the dealership and he got out of the vehicle and he found out it was a photo shoot for a commercial and it was a professional car driver, what did he say? Hey, let's do it again. All of a sudden, his demeanor changed. So was Jeff Gordon ever out of control? No, not really. He had planned out all those stunts, all those maneuvers were planned out. So cars can go fast rates of speed. The problem is, what do you do with everything else that's out on the roadway? You can't stage out. They roped off. They had everything under control. And that's the only way that worked. If they did that out on a highway or in a neighborhood and didn't tell anybody, didn't tell the local police, didn't tell the neighborhood, probably someone was going to get hurt. And at times when people get behind the wheel of the car and they have a license and they think, you know what, it says 55, what's the big deal? I go 70. And before you know it, you think 70 is really not doing it for me. Maybe I'll push it to 75 or 80. And some of you admitted, granted you weren't driving, but you've been in cars where people have pushed that speed limit to the max, okay, to where, you know, maybe you weren't feeling so comfortable. And what I want to get at, whoop, that's not what I want. How come that? Oh, where's my? I don't have my. Hold on a second here. I can't find my PDF for tonight. It went back to this. All right, so excuse me for a second, because I am going to have to load in a new PDF. So hold on a second. I'll try to find it. I don't know where it went. There it is. Okay. So is going the speed limit always the safest speed to travel? The answer is no. Okay. Sometimes you have to go slower, like in bad weather. Sometimes you have to go a little bit faster. So the question that I have for you is, are you always in control of your vehicle? At times, new drivers, the question has to be no, because you would never have driven in some situations. Like if you've never done a traffic circle, if you've never done merging onto the highway, I don't care what speed you're traveling, you're probably not in control because you don't know what to expect. You've never done it before. So you've got to be very careful about how you approach doing something you've never done before. So the way you should approach it is, do you have complete control of the vehicle? If someone came in my path, if I had an animal, if I had another vehicle, if I saw a pothole, if something came off a vehicle, can I deal with what has fallen off a truck? If you can handle those situations, then probably you're going at a speed that would be considered safe. So what are some of the other factors? Now, all the factors that we talked about last night for braking also come into play for speed. So here we've got road conditions. Is the road curvy? Is it slippery? Is it bumpy? How well can you see? Is it dark? Is there rain? Is there fog? Snow, intersection, hills, curves, parked vehicles, all these things come into play with your traveling. Like I know some of you, last week when we were driving in downtown Durham, because of graduation, there was a lot of activity. Even though you were going the speed limit, I think you could probably remember I asked you to go just a little bit slower. Anticipate backup lights, anticipate pedestrians. You've got to make some changes. Don't always think you have to go the speed limit. Here's the big one. A lot of people say, however fast traffic is going, I'm going to go with the flow of traffic. I kind of get that, sense of line of thinking, especially if you've got your following distance, the 4 seconds that you normally need. You probably won't be that bad off. But what if the speed limit is 55 and everybody's going 70 and you're going 70 with everybody? Is there a likelihood you could get pulled over? Oh, absolutely. You're going over the speed limit. But then you're going to say, well, everybody else is too. And what's going to happen is an officer is going to pull you over and he's going to say, I'm pulling you over for going 70 and 55. And what are you going to tell the officer? Well, everybody else is doing it. It almost sounds like, when you were little and you have brothers or sisters and they're doing something wrong and your parents tell you to stop doing it. And you go, well, my brother's doing it. Well, you're the one that get caught. So you've got to remember, they could pull anybody over. Now, you could give them that line, but you're going to probably still get a ticket, and then you're going to have to give the same line of reasoning to the judge when you try to fight the ticket. I think if you go a little bit slower than the flow of traffic, you're going to definitely be okay. But when you're keeping up with them, you become just like them. And maybe they're pulling people over or pulling you over, even though everybody else is doing, just so everybody else gets to see the blue lights and go, uh-oh, there's an officer, a police officer around. I better bring my speed under control. So they're going to set an example with you. So be very careful. Other factors that go into speed, the same factors that go into braking, your brakes, your suspension, your tires, as we saw last night. Anything physical or emotional, okay, will have some effect in your reaction. So this is reaction. How quickly you get to the brake. And we said last night about 3/4 of a second is what the average person is taking to get over. Now, you need to remember that speed limits are set up by the state. Now, speed limits are set up by every state. Even though we have federal interstate systems going through, that is set up on the federal level. But when you deal with state routes, all these speed limits are based upon what the state of New Hampshire wants. So once you cross over into another state, they take over and they can reset, drop it, higher it a little bit. And by the way, every once in a while, you'll see speed limits get bumped up by 5-10 miles per hour. It does happen every once in a while. So you got to remember it is set up. So pay attention to your speed limit signs. And here's what I want you to remember for the midterm for tomorrow. Okay? So write this down. Limits are maximum you may travel under ideal conditions, traffic and weather. Okay, ideal weather and traffic. So if visibility, traffic is heavy, then you're going to probably have to drop it down a little bit below what you normally do. So when traffic is heavy going over the Newington Bridge, traffic is backed up, following distance is being compromised, you're going to see people going 45 rather than 55, just because spacing is so clogged up. Now, this begs the question, and I spent a little bit of time, so we're going to spend the probably next 10, 15 minutes just talking about police and why or how do they actually know how fast I'm going. So we know that what the speed limit is. We have a speedometer, so we should be able to monitor it in our vehicle. But how does the police know? So I want you to write this down, okay, because it's from the state manual and a lot of people kind of gloss over it. I think we all know that there's radar detectors. There is visible line of sight where they can just tell that they're traveling 40 miles per hour and you're going faster than they are. So they know that you're going above a certain speed. So that's just a visible line of sight. If they pull you over for that, you're probably more than likely going to get a warning rather than a ticket, because they're not going to be able to, pinpoint to an accurate level how fast you were going. So there's radar, laser, and what most people don't realize in New Hampshire is that you could get a speeding ticket by an aircraft. We actually have airplanes and helicopters that patrol major routes in New Hampshire. So some of the major routes that we have 95, we have 93, 89, 101, and the Spalding Turnpike. So those are 5 major routes in New Hampshire where they can actually, from an aircraft, time you. If you ever take a look at the side of the road on a highway where the breakdown lane is, and if you ever see a big white block, that is the beginning of a section where they can time you. So they go up 1/4 mile, 1/2 mile, 3/4 mile. They can time you between points with a stopwatch, and then they can calculate how fast you're going. And there'll be a police officer further up the road that will actually pull you over and issue you the ticket. So we do use aircraft, but mostly it's by motorcycle and by patrol car. So I want to show you 2 clips here of how police actually monitor speed on the highway.
If you reckon you can get away with speeding, look at this. Police radars are more sophisticated than ever. He's about 1 kilometre away, this fella. Watch this. Got him. He had no idea. Here you go. Just slow down, it's not worth it. Over 200 cars with these radars are out day and night. And back in town, the new ProLight lasers can pinpoint a speeding driver in busy traffic and catch him. It's just not worth speeding, because we'll catch you before someone gets hurt.
Hi, I'm Bo Babkin. We're coming to you from the Cottonwood Heights Police Department in Utah. The next question is, how does a radar gun work, or how does radar work? There's two different types of radar in our world right now, and there are others, but the two I'll talk about is, one is regular radar, which is a frequency-based type of radar, and then we have LiDAR, which is laser, which is the acuity of a laser radar gun is pretty close to being perfect. I mean, you can, from many, many hundreds of feet, you can put a laser on the front of a license plate and measure how fast somebody's going, as opposed to the other one I talked about briefly before, and that's the regular radar, or the frequency radar, where it sends out a frequency and it calculates how fast somebody's going. Sometimes, or most of the time, an officer will be standing stationary, and that machine will measure the speed of a vehicle and how fast it's going. There are other situations where we can measure the speed of a vehicle as well when a patrol car or a police car is going in one direction and a car is coming in the other direction. That machine that's being used is measuring the speed of the actual vehicle that's going to measure it, and measuring the speed of the vehicle coming towards. So it's really quite a machine, and I know we don't have enough time to really explain all of it, but I know they work very well, one on frequency, one on laser beam, if you will.
If you reckon you can get away with speeding, look at this. Police radars are more sophisticated than ever.
Hi, I'm Bo Babkin. We're coming to you
Okay, hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay, I thought I had lost my PowerPoint. Here we go. All right, this you do need to know for the midterm tomorrow. So let's go through the speed limits that we have set here in New Hampshire. The speed limit by a school is 10 miles below the posted speed limit 45 minutes before the school opens and 45 minutes after school closes. Now, in some situations, we're going to have flashing lights. In other situations, they're going to give you the time of day. In a city or urban area, it's going to be 30 miles per hour. So urban means, metropolitan area. Now, it could be 25 like in Durham. It could be 20 like it is in Portsmouth in some situations. In your rural areas, so back roads in the country part of New Hampshire, it's going to range from 35 to 50. On highways in New Hampshire, the minimum is 45, maximum is 65 or 70 now. It actually goes higher in certain posted areas, like up on 89 going towards Plymouth. And anytime that you're towing something, like a modular home or a house trailer, the speed limit is 45 miles per hour. So know every single one of those speed limits for tomorrow. So write them down, highlight them for your test. So here is situation. See, I told you it's even higher in other parts of the country. So here we have a speed limit of 85, and I believe that's in Texas. This picture is. So when they feel that the road is built wide enough, maintained well enough, traffic isn't super heavy, then they can boost speed limits according to what they feel is safe. So we are seeing speed limits getting a little bit higher. Let me show you construction zones, because we have construction going on during the summer. What I want you to realize is that the fine is expensive. It's at least $250, but no more than $500. And it only needs to be reported by someone that's on the work crew. Now, most New Hampshire details have to have a off-duty police officer that helps control traffic, and they're there in case someone does not follow a safe speed, that they're able to get in their vehicle and go after someone. But remember, people that are working, like we've got a guy working a jackhammer here, he's not really looking about where he is. So he may step pretty close to an edge line or something. So it's your responsibility as a driver to watch out for construction people that may be kind of drifting into where you're driving. So usually they have cones up that gives adequate space so they can work. But every once in a while, they'll drop a rake or something, or the machinery that they're using, they lose their balance and they get closer to where you are. So this is working near or driving near work zones.
They can become a common sight across Missouri when the weather is warm. Construction zones. These men and women are out working right along the highway, trying to give you a safer and smoother ride. And we want to remind you to be alert.
Trooper Green with the Highway Patrol.
That's why we decided to join a state trooper.
Speed limit in this construction area is 60.
As he works to ensure you drive safe and obey the speed limits in a work zone.
Rear, stationary.
Is that good enough for you? The reason I'm stopping you is going a little fast this morning. Do you have your driver's license and your insurance with you?
Oftentimes, there's a lot of construction projects going on around the roadways in different parts of the city and the county, and they don't realize that these individuals are out here basically risking their lives trying to improve the roadways.
The Missouri Department of Transportation and the Highway Patrol work together to cut down on the number of accidents involved in a work zone.
So I need you to pay a little bit more attention, okay? There's a lot of guys doing road construction up through here, and that's why we're out here, is trying to prevent one of these accidents from one of these individuals getting run over, and obviously you can understand why, all right?
That's why every year MoDOT sets aside a week in the month of April for Work Zone Awareness Week.
For our workers, this is their office. This is where they work every day, and so people need to be aware of that. They're trying to get a job done.
You know, if you were going 60 and had to stop for some reason or slow down for something ahead, you're able to do so. Come along at 80 miles an hour, you don't stop in time, and unfortunately you end up striking an individual out here working, doing his job.
So remember, if you're out driving this construction season, be on the lookout for those orange cones, obey the speed limit, and stay alert out there. You could be saving somebody's life.
All right, have a good day.
Or maybe even your own.
Did you notice how the police officer did not approach from the driver's side? He approached from the passenger side. Okay, that's a safety measure. So don't be too spooked if an officer approaches from the opposite side. Now, there are two types of drivers that we have to be concerned about when it comes to being on the highway. The people that love to go fast. I mean, they just can't get enough speed. So if you drive faster than the prevailing traffic, you will have to continually pass one another. And each time you pass, there's a greater risk for a crash. So these are the people that leapfrog. They go in and out of traffic. You really have to pay attention to your rear view mirror, side view mirror, for these people that are constantly changing lanes and trying to get up further into the traffic flow. Okay, you'll spot them quite quickly on a highway if you've been driving on a highway for any amount of time. I mean, the facts bear it out that when you go faster, it's going to take longer to stop. I mean, that's a given. And then just think about if you're going 60 rather than 30, then of course, if you hit something, the impact's going to be worse. So there's a better chance, or there's a great chance that you're going to get physically hurt, or the likelihood of losing your life in a car is going to be much higher at above speed limit speeds than below the speed limit speeds. And I honestly think that now with airbags and everything, unless you're running an intersection where someone's T-boning you, but most cars that leave the roadway, hit trees, roll over, if you've got your seatbelt on and you're going 40 miles per hour, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be walking away from that crash. But when you start dealing with 60, 70, 80, no seatbelt, so you're not going to have the full impact of the airbag when it does come out, you never know what's going to happen inside the car. a pretty good chance it's not going to be good. So if we do what we know to be the right thing to do, I think we're going to be okay. Wasting fuel. Now, it may not be a big deal to you how much it costs to fill up because your dad's giving you a credit card to fill up once you get your license. But let me tell you, when you're working a part-time job and you only have $20 for the whole week, and then all of a sudden you think, oh my goodness, I'm going to go fill the gas tank, or at least put some of the, gas in the tank to get me to work, and it takes $15-16. It leaves you $4 for the rest of the week. So don't waste it. Aggressive driving will consume more fuel. Idling, in a parking lot will waste fuel. And you never know what it's going to do to your engine. The high-speed temperatures are going to break down metals and all the fluid levels. So you're going to constantly have to have your car maintained. And your tires are going to wear out a lot quicker. Most people that drive fast will always be tailgating somebody because they'll always encounter somebody that is going the speed limit or not quite at the speed that they're happy with. And now you've got to deal with a person that's tailgating you. And we talked about what are some of the situations you can do. You can move to the right. You can pull over and stop. Tap your brakes, see if they back off a little bit. So we've got to keep an eye on the highway for these people that like to drive super fast. Some of these videos I didn't load in for tonight. Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have the driver that goes too slow. And when we think of a slow driver, we think, yeah, a student driver. They're not quite comfortable going speed limits. But more than the learning driver, it's the older driver that usually goes too slow. So when you go slow, people will tailgate you. People will pass you in areas that they probably shouldn't, like hills, curves, and solid yellow lines. So if you're one of these slow drivers, pay attention to your mirrors, move over, okay? If you're holding up traffic, move over and let people get by you in a safe area. Yeah, a lot of these videos I did not put in tonight because I wanted to get into road rage a little bit later. All right, let's talk about this for a moment. There's a good chance in the lifetime of driving, and you're getting your license now, and you'll probably drive for the next 50, 60 years, so that's a long time to be driving. At some point in your driving career, you're going to get pulled over by the police. And a lot of people ask me, Mr. Toll, have you ever been pulled over by the police in the driver's ed vehicle? And the answer is yes, multiple times. We're no different than any other driver on the roadway. You're learning to drive, but we're still supposed to follow, motor vehicle code. So sometimes we've been pulled over for a headlight that's out, like at night. We've been pulled over for a brake light that's been out a couple times. We've actually been pulled over because we were driving too fast. And the thing is that when we get pulled over, and it's happened twice, if we get pulled over for driving too fast, they yell at me, not you, because I'm the one that's supposed to make you go the speed limit. So they look at me and they go, what are you teaching? Why are you letting your students go at a speed that's above the legal limit? And since you've driven with me for a little bit, I give you a little fluctuation. I try not to let you go above 5 without making some comment about it because I want you to get control of the vehicle. But in reality, you're driving my car. You're driving on my license. You're driving on my teacher's certificate. So that's why it's important for you to do the right thing. Not only because it will keep me out of trouble with the DMV, but also it's training you to understand if I wasn't in the car, they still could have pulled you over, and now you're the one that's going to be yelled at and probably get the ticket. You should be able to drive many, many years without ever getting pulled over. I mean, after taking driver's ed, after getting a license, reading the manual, reading the textbook, you should have enough information to know what to do out on the road in all situations. You should know all your signs, your pavement markings, like what we had this week. You should know the basic laws that we have out there that are trying to make our road safe way, and they want you to follow those rules. But when you don't, you're going to get stopped. So let's talk about getting stopped. So the first thing that I want you to write down, and I do want you to write this down because in this day and age, it is a very volatile situation dealing with police. There are some good cops, there are some bad cops. You just never know who's stopping you. And for you to have an attitude as they walk to their vehicle, it's not fair to them. And it's not fair to you if they're so upset from the way their day has been going and how they've been treated and dealt with by other people to take out their disgust and anger on you. That's not fair. So it goes both ways. So let's talk about what's going to put you in the best situation to handle being pulled over. Okay, the first thing that I want you to realize that when you see the blue lights, you need to put your directional on and go slower and look for a place that is safe to pull over. There is nothing that's going to make a police officer more upset is that if you stop in the middle of an intersection in any place where it's going to cause problems for other drivers to get around everybody. Look for a driveway, look for a parking lot. Do you have to pull over in the next 100 feet, 200 feet? No. You could drive the next mile up the road if you want. Oh, I know there's a road up ahead, a little side road. Drive up to it. Just go slow, put your directional on. You're indicating you know you're getting pulled over. You're just looking for a safe place. In some articles, in some places, it tells you at night, especially if you're a female, drive to the police department if you know where it is. Or drive to a gas station, a place that is well lit, a place that there will be people around so they'll be able to see what's happening. And remember, there are some people that impersonate police officers. So this is for your safety. So look for a safe place to pull over. Second thing, stay calm. It's not the worst thing in the world. Okay? Getting a ticket is not the worst thing in the world. Do you want to get a ticket? Absolutely not. But life goes on. You can pay a fine. You can listen to the officer, hear what he has to say, but don't start doing crazy stuff like getting out of the vehicle. Okay? Now, what you should do is keep your hands visible on the steering wheel and never get out of the car. Crack the window just a couple inches. You don't have to roll it all the way down. All right? Why? It's because if it's not a real police officer, you don't want him grabbing you by the throat, grabbing you by the hair or something. So only do it a couple inches so, you could hand out your registration license and he can take it. But you don't have to roll it down halfway. Now, he will ask, write this down, he will ask for your license and your registration. We're all familiar with these terms. Your license is kept in your wallet or kept in your purse. Most people after driver's ed start forgetting what title and registration is. Registration is what is in your glove compartment, and it shows who owns the vehicle, and it tells a lot about the vehicle. He wants to see that. Okay? Could you be driving somebody else's car? Absolutely. That's why they ask for both. Okay, I noticed that, Mr. Smith, here that this car is not registered to you. Is there a reason why you're driving this car, okay, from somebody that lives 2 towns over? Oh, that's my coworker. Oh, okay. Does he know that you're in the car? Yes, he does. If we called him, he would say that he gave you permission. Yeah, you could call him. Here's his number. They may ask questions like that. They may call in and find and ask. They may ask the police department, is there been a stolen vehicle? That's why they're checking the registration. Has it been reported as missing? Because if you steal a car and you get pulled over and you do pull over and talk to the police officer, aren't you going to say, I know it's not my car, but I've got permission to drive it? Absolutely. So don't be so spooked by some of the questions that they ask you. Don't lie, cry, or make excuses. If you honestly don't know why you got pulled over, say, I have no idea. But if you are honest, and I find most officers, they appreciate honesty. Let me give you an example. If school starts at 8 o'clock and you get pulled over at 7:55 and you're going 10, 15 miles over the speed limit, and the officer that pulled you over asks you, do you know why I pulled you over? And you go, yeah, I'm going too fast. And they're gonna say, well, why are you going so fast? Well, actually, school is starting in 5 minutes, and I've been late a couple times this week, and if I don't get to school on time, then I'm going to have to serve a suspension or after school, some type of penalty. They look at their watch. They're familiar when school gets into session. They know that you're not lying. But if you start saying like, and this is not for a high school student, but sometimes I've heard stories where people say, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, or women will say, I'm pregnant. I've got to get to the hospital. I'm in labor, or I'm really, really sick and I got to get to the hospital. Well, if you say I'm sick, I got to get to the hospital, you need an ambulance. You don't need to drive fast, because then you're putting other people at risk. So the officer may say, well, leave your car right here, get into my cruiser, and I'll speed to the hospital. So then they're taking you to the hospital for an injury or sickness that you don't have. You think he's going to be happy? So don't lie, make excuses, tell the truth. The other thing, and this is probably more for adults than for teenagers, that a lot of people try to pull, do you know who I am? Don't intimidate the officer. Don't make him feel that what he's doing is not important. There's a lot of people in some of these small towns that when they get pulled over, they go, I know the police chief. How long you been on the force? 2 years? Okay, I'm going to get this ticket thrown out. I'm going to call, Chief Smith tonight, and he's going to just rip you a new one. He's going to say, why did you pull over me for what I'm doing? And a lot of people will try to do stuff like that. Don't do that. You can always fight it in court. And the days of having someone fix your ticket, throw it out, rip it up, those days are pretty much gone. Because of computers and because of everybody getting in trouble for covering for other people, very rarely are you going to find a police chief to put his, integrity and his line, his butt on the line to cover for a neighbor that got caught going 20 miles over the speed limit. So just familiarize yourself with some of these points. And remember, there are three things that can happen when they pull you over. One, you can get a verbal warning. That's what you want. They're just going to tell you, don't do this anymore. If I stop you again, then I'm going to write it out. A written warning is like a verbal warning, but anybody can see it on the computer system. So the next officer that comes on duty, if you speed again in the next 6 hours, he sees you got pulled over because it's in the computer system under notes. Okay, they're going to know that. So a written warning is a little bit more serious. And they have to hand you the written warning. So you've got it in your hand. Lastly, no warnings, written or verbal, you're getting a ticket. So what I want you to write down is to know for tomorrow, your first violation, moving violation, you're going to lose your license for 20 days. For your second, it's going to be 45 days. And for your third, it's going to be 90. That's on your youth operator's license, 20 days first. Second is 45. Third is 90. You mail it in, they mail it back to you, but you still have to pay your fine and reinstatement fee. The other thing, and I don't have the video here about needing to speak up, is that once you get your license and you get with your friends, and of course we know you're only supposed to have one non-relative in the vehicle for the first 6 months. I want you to understand that when you're driving and you can tell that people are uncomfortable with the way you're fooling around in the car, driving maybe a little bit fast or recklessly, listen to the people in your car telling you to slow down. You are responsible for everybody in your vehicle. So if you have a crash, they get injured, they die, it's on you. And if you're a passenger, speak up. Don't think he's my best friend. But if he's acting like a dum-dum and he's going 20 miles over the speed limit, do you want to be in the hospital tonight? Speak up. Let him know, hey, bring it down a little bit. I feel a little uncomfortable. We almost went off the road back there. Don't have your car as a video game. Don't treat it like a video game, because a new vehicle just doesn't pop up on to the roadway and you drive away. People are going to get hurt. Now, part of what we're going to do a little bit later tonight is I'm going to show you a pretty lengthy video, and I wasn't able to post the questions that I want answered. I'm going to put it on the board right. Whoop. Let's see if is it coming up. Oh, it didn't come up. I got to see if I can. I'm going to try to give it to some people that have iPhones. I'm going to try to send it to you as we're going through another video. I'm trying to see if I've got another copy up on my screen right here. Oh, here's the PDF. There we go. So if you've got a phone and you're watching, I'm going to make this really, really big. So if you have a phone and you're watching tonight's class on your computer, take a picture of this. And these are the questions. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 questions dealing with the video, Danger of Speed in Hills. We're going to watch that in about 35, 40 minutes. Okay. So I just wanted you to see that. I'll try to send it to some of you. If you can't get it, if you can't take a picture of this, just let me know under messages, and I'll see what I can do about putting it in a text message and sending it to you. So we'll see if that works. All right. But part of your homework last night was to do, I don't like that camera. I look too big. I like this one better. Okay, part of your homework last night was dealing with road rage. Everybody gets angry and upset and mad behind the wheel of a car. We have human emotion, so when we are upset at home, at school, and we get into our car, we're still upset. And when we get out onto the road, we sometimes take out that frustration on other people, especially if they're not driving a way that we wish that they would drive, or if they make a mistake in their drive, or we're not very forgiving. So road rage is a very common thing, and it shouldn't happen. I think Cooper was the one that sent me an article tonight that I saw that said, AAA says roughly 1,700 incidents end in injury or death. And that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot for people kind of losing their cool. So it shouldn't happen. We're going to talk about why it happens and what we can do about it. All right, so we're going to do a little bit on road rage. So get your articles into me. Some of you still are very lax on doing simple homework. This should not be difficult stuff to do. So let's talk about road rage. Don't be a victim. It could change your life. Here's an incident here in Rochester. So this is close to home. This is the town that I live in. These two men face assault charges because they used a flashlight and an angle grinder as weapons to go after one another because they didn't like the way that either of them were driving on the roadway. That's pretty strange. That's pretty strange to take something that's in your vehicle, out of your vehicle, and to go after somebody. Here's a young person. Now, this is still New Hampshire. Here's a person that used his vehicle as a weapon. He forced a motorcycle off the road because he didn't like the way that the motorcycle went by him. Watch this.
PD tonight, Eller is keeping his license for now.
Well, Tom and Tiffany, the judge thought it would be important for Eller to continue to drive as he looks for work. But it's hard to say what the employment prospects would be for a guy who can't explain why he decided to run someone else off the road.
Police say they've never seen such a blatant case of road rage. Friday morning, 18-year-old Cody Eller appeared in court, charged with felony second-degree assault and vehicular assault. Just a few hours prior, around 4:30 a.m., investigators say he intentionally veered his Ford Fusion into a man on a motorcycle trying to pass him on Windham Road in Pelham.
Mr. Eller admitted to the officers, made some sort of a comment to the effect of he wasn't going to allow the motorcycle to pass him. And that's what he tried to force him off the roadway.
The victim ended up at Parkland Medical Center with a broken leg. The wife of 45-year-old William Hawksley says her husband was riding his Kawasaki from home in Brentwood to work in Lowell. Now he'll need surgery to fix his leg. News 9 caught up with Cody Eller after he bailed out.
I wasn't thinking at all.
Eller spoke briefly, admitting he was as confused as anyone else as to why he did what he did.
I am not a dangerous man. I did not mean to do that, but just my thoughts and my actions just wasn't correct.
Court paperwork indicates Eller sped up and crossed over the double yellow line to hit the bike as Hawksley attempted to pass on the left. A neighbor on 111A apparently witnessed the crash and called 911. While Eller has no explanation for his actions, he does want to apologize.
I'm sorry for what I did, and I did not mean to hurt that guy with any intention.
Mr. Eller.
Don't you find that kind of interesting, the last comment? I didn't mean to hurt that guy. Wait a minute. You took your vehicle, you crossed over the center line, and you rammed into him, and you didn't mean to hurt him? What did you expect was going to happen? And then earlier in the interview, when he came out of the courts, he said, I was confused. I don't know why I did that. Oh, yes, you did. You had road rage. You were upset. Most of these people, after the fact, realized they weren't thinking. They really didn't logically think about what their actions, what kind of consequences was going to happen to him. So here he is spending time in jail. Now, I don't mean to pick on young people, okay? So we saw this with this kid right here, okay? Pretty young, okay? Going after a guy on a motorcycle. How about someone my age? You think someone my age would have some sense? Now, this is just over the border. This is in Massachusetts. Let's see what happened in Massachusetts with a little bit of road rage.
It's not a movie scene, but real-life road rage. After a fender bender, 65-year-old Richard Kamrowski jumped on the hood of an SUV, attempting to leave the scene. The driver speeding up to 70 miles per hour on the busy Massachusetts Turnpike during rush hour.
He kept going fast, slow, tried to get me to slide off. I wasn't getting off the car.
Kamrowski managed to hang on for miles as an onlooker captured the dangerous highway ride. At one point, you see Kamrowski looking down at his phone, dialing 911 for help.
Kind of like just survival mode.
The driver finally hit the brakes when Good Samaritans blocked him in. One bystander drawing a gun. Police arrested the driver, Mark Fitzgerald, for assault with a dangerous weapon, among other charges.
He took my water bottle out of my car. He smashed my window.
Police also arrested Kamrowski. He's charged with disorderly conduct. Two men on one wild ride that started with a minor crash and ended with major drama.
Now, a 65-year-old on the hood of a vehicle, he absolutely would probably roll off, okay? Not too smart to get on the hood and let this guy drive away. Not too smart for the guy to let him happen, okay? Notice he had his cell phone. He was probably trying to call the police. If you've got your cell phone, just videotape the guy leaving. You've got his license plate. You see the damage that was done on the vehicle. Why did you think you had to get to the hood of a vehicle? Where were you going to go? What were you going to do when he finally went home? Get off the hood and then beat him up? You're 65. That guy was half the age of you. But people don't really think. They just act on their emotions. So let's kind of break down road rage for a little bit. So I want you to take a few notes. We'll see one more video in a minute from 2020. Okay, I want you to write down the word anger and mad. Everybody in life gets angry. That's a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. Someone does you wrong, and you're just upset. I'm angry at my best friend. A teacher gives you homework over the weekend where you have to do a report. You're not happy with the teacher. You're angry that it just spoiled your Sunday afternoon because you're going to have to get home and get that paper done before Monday morning, first period. Mad's a little bit different. Mad is where you're completely unrestrained by reason and judgment. This is where if a teacher gives you homework that's going to take you time to do on the weekend, you get up from your chair in the classroom and you tip over the desk and you swear at the teacher and you walk out of the room. That is being completely unrestrained by reason and judgment. It's a fit. It's a mood. It's like a kid in a store not getting his favorite cereal. He's a 3-year-old. He doesn't get his favorite cereal, so he drops to the ground and he starts kicking his feet and he's crying and he screams that he wants the cereal. That's what's happening out on the roadway. People are having tantrums. An adult tantrum. They're acting out. They're getting out of their vehicle and doing stupid stuff. They're doing things with their vehicle that is plain out, flat out stupid. Now remember, most vehicles are pretty expensive. So damages that you do to cars, even though you may have insurance, it's going to take some time and some money to get things fixed. We're not talking about, minor stuff. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars of damage you could do. And if you hurt somebody, medical bills or funeral bills, you're going to do time in jail. All because someone cut you off, someone backed into your vehicle. Some of the articles that I did get a chance to look at last night, I haven't looked at any today, pretty sad. Pretty sad how some people are acting out in some of these situations. Just because someone does something bad to you doesn't mean that you have to act out in kind to them, meaning doing the same thing. Here's a person that was going probably too slow. She had her daughter in the car, and a person in a Jeep didn't like that she was going so slow, so drove by her, flipped her off, and drove down the road. Well, guess what? Further down the road, that same Jeep that flipped her off had a mechanical problem and lost control of the Jeep, went off the side of the road and flipped the Jeep and was up on its side, and it needed help. Guess who pulled over to help? The person that she flipped off, the person that she had road rage to. A lot of people would say, serves you right. You flipped me off, that's karma. Okay? It serves you right that this happened to you. You should always act correctly. You should always forgive. You should always look for the best. Don't try to one-up somebody out on the roadway. It's only going to end in something bad happening. These are some reasons why people maybe act out. They're late for work. You're going slow. They like to go fast. They don't see you, or you don't see them, and you pull out into traffic and you cut them off. Being a tailgater is a reason for people having road rage. Some people don't like being passed. Oh, you're going to pass me? Well, I'm going to speed up. I'm going to get by you. So what I want everybody to do right now, okay, so I know who's here. What I want everybody to do on your phone right now so I can see who's here, I want you to text me what is one driving behavior that you really don't like that may get you angry. We're not talking about road rage. We're not talking about me, acting out in a tantrum like mad, but what thing, and there's going to be a lot of people saying the same stuff, but you've got to text me what is the one thing that will anger you if someone does to you. And I'll give you an example for me. When I do teach students at night and we're driving at night and people keep their high beams on and blinds the student while we're driving. They're behind us. I do not like people with the high beams on. So that's the thing that I don't like. So everybody text me something that gets under your skin that other people do. Also, when you text me what the item is, what I'm going to try to do, I have one last road rage article or video that I want to show you. I'm going to try to send you the questions via text message of the video that we're going to watch in a moment. So just text me. What's the one thing that's going to get you? The question is what will upset you when you're out driving that would possibly cause you to have road rage? Okay, I'm getting some good examples. Tailgating, coming up from behind, honking the horn, don't use turn signals, following too closely, driving in a dangerous manner, pulling out in front of me. These are all good examples because these are things that are going to happen to you on a regular basis when you're driving. So we're going to have to learn how to deal with these situations. What I want you to write down, there are two aspects of being influenced by other drivers, meaning what's going to get under your skin. It's going to affect you mentally. Okay, it changes what you perceive as important. You become preoccupied with what is happening to you, like being tailgated or being blinded by the lights, and you don't think about, I got to get to work, I got to get to school. You're more thinking about what that person is doing to you rather than what you need to be doing, and that is getting to school or getting home or getting to work. Most of the time when people are angry, they don't think about the end. They don't think about, what do I want the end result to be? So you should always have a solution. So road rage is not solution based. It's all on letting out emotion. It's all of proving that you're better, or, you're trying to get in front of people. You don't want other slow people on the roadway. It's making other people feel inferior. And the other thing you need to remember is it does take some time to overcome. So when you start thinking negative thoughts about getting back at a person that just, cut you off, and you're starting to follow them, you're going to probably feel that way for the next half hour to an hour. It's really hard to shake road rage. It's just not something that you drop automatically. The other thing physically is that if we were to take you outside of the car after having an emotional breakdown of how somebody just did you wrong on the roadway, and we kind of hooked you up to some medical things like a blood pressure cuff or a heart monitor or something, guess what's going to happen inside you? Everything's going to be showing you are highly stressed out, high blood pressure, high heart rate, muscle tension. Your body language is just going to scream that you are displeased with how people are treating you out on the roadway, and you want to prove a point. People should not be doing this, and I'm going to show them. I'm going to hit their car, and damage their vehicle because they're acting stupid. Well, guess what? You're acting stupid. So like your parents told you, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And it doesn't matter whether you're in the rural parts of New Hampshire or if you're in the city of Boston. Road rage happens wherever you have vehicles around, where one person feels like they have been done wrong and they feel they've got to teach the other person a lesson. So I want to show you one last clip here on road rage on a special that they did on 2020 a while ago. And I believe it was over in Denver, Colorado. And you'll see some of the pretty bad behavior.
We all have it in us, even if we don't know exactly where it is. A limit, a breaking point, a dark place where civilization ends and animal instinct takes over.
And there may be no faster way to get there than right here on the roadways of America at the intersection of velocity and violence.
Oh, we have 2 victims here.
You've seen the stories leading your local news.
Another case of road rage.
And polluting YouTube. What feels like a daily diet of road rage reports. Just last week, this shocking video of an incident on a California freeway leading to a multi-car crash.
Call 911, Chris.
Nearly half of all drivers surveyed have experienced some form of road rage.
Here in Denver, the mile-high city, drivers have hit new lows.
Local officials reporting deadly traffic crashes have been slowly creeping up for several years.
We know you're fed up. So are we.
We came to see for ourselves. didn't take long for us to find it. Rocky Mountain Rage.
Golly, that guy. He was like almost in our lane.
You want reasons? Look around. The city's rush hour turns freeways into ant farms. It's a stop-and-go sea of brake lights.
Yeah, it's not moving up there.
What typically should be a 30-minute commute can take nearly an hour and a half, enough to turn any driver into a ticking time bomb.
I was surprised at how bad the traffic is in Denver.
It's heavy, it's crowded, and it's aggressive.
Captain Jeff Goodwin of the Colorado State Patrol is fighting the uphill battle against an army of hot-tempered motorists.
Don't touch me!
There is that group of individuals that get up helter-skelter every morning. They're never on time. So now they're running late and they've got to make up that time. So how do they do it? They do it by pushing people out of the way, cutting them off, changing from the inside left lane all the way to the exit ramp right as they get there.
Goodwin believes he's pinpointed the root of the problem. With more than 100,000 people transplanting to Denver every year, it's as simple as too many metal machines, not enough pavement.
I used to think it was something like people cutting you off. But you know, one of the things that people really get angry about, if somebody honks the horn at you because you've sat too long at a light, I think they literally go from the Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde.
Around the country, it's not just gangbangers and street thugs mixing it up. It could be any of us. Take a look at these guys in business attire doing the WWE SmackDown. We showed the good Captain Goodwin some examples of bad behavior, and he provided us some potentially life-saving road rules to help you. Rule number 1, don't make eye contact.
This motorist is out of control. And this victim is doing all the right things.
Just stare ahead, don't engage.
Right. Yeah, the minute you engage, who knows where this goes?
Rule number 2, never approach the window.
All right, wow, okay. This is more than over the top because now you have a gun involved.
So you're gonna pull your gun out? What kind of...
You never know who's packing heat.
Exactly.
Is approaching someone's window ever a good idea?
Never do it.
And most important, rule number 3, you don't always have to win.
Looks like it's gonna be over.
But as we see in this case from Houston, the parties involved just can't help themselves.
And here we go. There you go.
I mean, now they're at full-blown fist fight.
Right, this is what happens. It gets worse. The longer this goes, the worse it's gonna get.
It looks like they just need to win the argument.
That's what it is.
Oh. It was 4:15 when we hit the road with Goodwin and his team. They prowled the interstate looking for bad behavior.
We're looking for aggressive drivers.
Triggers.
Holy
which often lead to the road rage we see on the news.
This is a 75 mile.
Well, we're doing 17 and a 75 at rush hour.
I got a lady who was texting if you want to pull her over.
Within minutes, Goodwin's team has spotted a common breed, a texter at the wheel. Goodwin says distracted driving, the #1 offense that sends drivers into road rage.
And how does that end up leading to road rage?
Well, when she's texting, she's not paying attention to everybody else out here.
Next, we cross paths with a Leadfoot speedster, the deadliest kind of aggressive driver.
I could see him in the rearview mirror weaving in and out. He was trying to find that opening.
And that's when people get mad.
Right.
It was now 5:45, the road rage witching hour.
Yeah, we're pulling out.
Goodwin says the peak time for trouble. And the cops had busted this aggressive driver for skipping the off-ramp and blazing her own trail altogether.
Right now, there's a warrant for your arrest.
Her prize? Some new bracelets and a ride in the fast lane to the county clink.
She doesn't have a valid driver's license either, so that's been canceled and denied, so she shouldn't be driving anywhere.
We'd found ourselves at a notorious hotspot.
So this is the frontage road where we have a lot of our issues.
And got a dose of full frontage fury.
So people will be frustrated, they'll come off the frontage road, and then they actually will do this, believe it or not.
They will drive here,
Holy cow, this is so steep.
and they will find that steep drop down to the interstate, and they will bounce their way back down into Interstate 25, all because they're angry about sitting in traffic. Off-roading on I-25.
Yeah. As Friday rush hour traffic mounts once again, we spot this guy who thought he could make up time bypassing all the drivers ahead of him, riding along the road's shoulder. But he's going nowhere fast today.
Over here. Hey, sir, do me a favor and stay in your car while we do this business, okay? You passed about 7 or 8 cars going alongside them on the right. You went over the white shoulder. That's not a lane for turning. It's not a lane for passing.
Like many road rogues, this guy's idea of defensive driving is making excuses for his alleged moving violations. He even called 911 to complain about being pulled over.
He stopped me first on the train track with the train coming down the road.
And now that he's caught, he's upset, just is not in agreement at all with what's going on here. So that's his beef.
There goes a guy. There he goes.
Next, check out this blue truck. The driver has jumped the median, passing up other cars, hightailing it the wrong way into oncoming traffic. Captain Goodwin pulls him over, hand on the holster.
What was it?
I haven't seen anybody drive that aggressively in years. He's doing about 90 miles an hour. He damn near hit several cars back there.
I charged him with reckless driving. He just didn't plan on having any law enforcement around to stop him today.
You don't think it's just a Y chromosome thing?
You see a lot of aggressive driving from both sexes.
Everybody drives crazy.
Yeah, it's...
So they gave some good pointers about not making eye contact, not rolling your window down. You've got to really think about the people that you deal with may not have any logic or reason. So when you think getting out of your vehicle may be a good thing, don't do that. And notice in the last part of that video clip, the officer was telling the guy, don't get out of your car. Okay, these are things that you've got to remember from what we're talking about here in class, because it's going to save you a lot of headache. And the other thing the other person didn't realize is that when he called 911 about complaining about the officer, he didn't realize there was a news crew filming it. So do you think that they're going to bring that film footage into the court system if he tries to fight it? Okay, what's the chances that his story is going to match what's on the video? Pretty slim. So I just thought you should see that it's happening all over the place. Bad driving behavior. Aggressive driving is road rage. So we want to try to prevent that. And I hope that you don't do it. Now, during the video, you know that I have sent out a link or a copy of the questions that I want you to answer during the video. So I've been talking a lot tonight, and I talk most of these classes. This is a little bit of a longer video. And since some of you have not been doing your homework, this is a way that I'm going to make sure that you watch the video, do the questions. So I sent it to you because some of you aren't going to Facebook to download worksheets and to answer the questions that I want you to do or take pictures of the chapter test. This is due tonight by 9:30. So you're going to have about 10-15 minutes at the end of the video to answer these questions and send it back to me. Tomorrow we have our midterm, so study. Okay, we are going to talk about parking for the first 45 minutes to an hour, and then the last part of class will be you going to do your midterm. So read chapter 2, read in your manual. Everything up to the point that we've covered to this point will be fair game on your midterm, and I'll have a link that like I'm doing tonight. I'm going to only give people links through text messages and every once in a while through Facebook now, because I don't see everybody here online. So some people are going to have to take driver's ed over again because they're just leaving class when they shouldn't. And I'm going to start weeding out people that aren't going to finish this program. We got 2 weeks left, and I'll figure who wants to get a license and who wants to complete driver's ed. The rest of them can take it in July and August and do it all over again when they have time to be in a classroom. So with that, I'm going to show the video, look at the questions that I'm asking, answer them. It shouldn't take you too long. Just kind of look through the questions and then watch the video as I put it up here. And I know video quality may be a little bit off, so you may have to pause it for about minutes and then hit play again, and then it should stream a little bit better. But I thought this is a good video dealing with young people because it deals with a young high school soccer team and how things got a little bit out of hand when they were in a car going a little bit too fast and not thinking about whether they were safe or not, and how it influences parents. So I'm going to show you the video, and I'll come back and close things out in about a half hour.
Is that okay? Answer me if you're okay.
Fond du Lac County 911, where's your emergency?
Thought we've been in an accident.
Okay.
We're on Beachhead. We're on Beachhead, just out of Camelsport.
Okay. Do you have a better crossroad at all?
V.
Okay. And how many?
We got 9 girls here.
How many vehicles?
1 vehicle.
Is anybody injured?
We've got 9 people very injured.
Okay. What kind of injuries?
I don't know. I can't hear all of them. We've got a smushed tire. I'm unsure how to tell.
Were you involved?
We do need help.
Okay. Were you involved?
Quiet, please. Thank you.
Ma'am?
I was invited to a sleepover with a group of girls that were going to be on the soccer team. We ended up having a good time. First of all, we were painting nails, doing anything girls would do at a sleepover, when we decided that we wanted to go get some food. So we left the house. It was probably around midnight when we left the house. We had also had some toilet paper that we were planning on going to TP with. We ended up at Taco Bell, having a great time. Probably one of the best sleepovers I'd been to, especially since it was a new group of girls that I hadn't known. After Taco Bell, we went to a few different houses, finally chose one that we wanted to TP. TP'd out of fun. Then after TPing, it was time to go home. We were finished. We were on our way back to Katie Berg's house.
I texted Katie as they were on their way home, and she said she told me, yes, got the job done, meaning they were TPing. And then within about 15-20 minutes, they weren't home yet, and all of a sudden we heard sirens because we don't live too far from the fire station. And then I woke Jim up and I said, the girls are not home yet. They were on their way home and I hear sirens. I need to try and get a hold of Katie. And I tried to get a hold of Katie and there was no answer. And that's when we started to panic. And we went outside and we heard more and more sirens. And then we went down to the fire station and they said there's been a horrific crash. And they were going to set up, and helicopters, Flight for Life was coming in to the high school parking lot.
EMTs, we respond to scenes. We do not ask for this. We are forced into this situation. It affects everybody, not just the people involved. It affects everybody here on the fire scene, ambulance, police, and surrounding community. So every girl that was in that vehicle, we either knew or had either stayed at our house at least one time. So it could have been my daughter, could have been anybody's daughter. All these girls I knew. Some of the girls I couldn't even tell who they were that night with the blood.
I remember waking up in the field and I was looking around and I didn't really know what happened. And I tried to get up, but I couldn't. And then Carly came over to me and I asked her what happened. And she said that we were in a bad car accident. And then I asked her if she could stay by me and she said no, she had to go find the other girls. And then I passed out again. And then I just remember waking up to the EMTs and the ambulance lights.
It was dark and cold, and it was just it was scary. I didn't think anything was wrong. I was fine. I knew I was going to be okay. I was I was talkative. I was responsive. I didn't think anything was wrong at that point. I just figured everyone had a few injuries, no big deal. And then next thing I knew, I was watching these ambulances pull up and watching these EMTs pull up and pronouncing my friend's dead. Yeah.
Phone rang. It was about 5:20.
5:23.
Didn't have a clue what it was, what, you know, who
Why
would
were
be
we getting a
calling,
call
call so early. Got up, picked up the phone, and it was Mrs. Berg, Bonnie Berg, calling, and she said the girls never made it home.
She was hysterical.
Yeah, yeah. I had the phone, but he could hear her hysterical voice through
To the receiver.
that I was holding.
I mean, I was in bed. I jumped out of bed, so you're 10, 15 feet away from me, and I could hear Bonnie through the receiver.
But she said, the girls never made it home. And I said, Bonnie, what do you mean the girls never made it home? They're sleeping over at your house. And then she said that...
She's talking about sirens and choppers
and she said they never made it home. They went out, they never made it home. And then, she's talking about... But I don't know how many times it says, Bonnie, slow down, calm down.
Bonnie, calm down.
Just so I could try to piece together what she was trying to tell me.
And you said, Bonnie, where do we go?
And that's where she says, I don't know. I don't know where anybody is. There's kids going down to Milwaukee. There's kids getting ambulance to Fond du Lac.
Well, that night, Sabrina's brother Nick took her to the gathering of the teammates. They were going to be teammates. They weren't all friends. Some of the girls, actually, that was the first night they met each other. She was excited because she was an underclassman, and the upperclassmen who were friends of her brother invited her to be part of this. So we all told her, you know, you should go. You know, they wanted you to be part of the team.
Yeah, she was excited to go. I mean, she thought it'd be
Right. Mm-hmm.
an idea.
And then the next morning, we got notification because our two boys, Nathan and Nicholas, they had to be at a wrestling tournament, and they had to be up at the high school at 7 o'clock. And then they started texting and calling saying, get a hold of Sabrina right away. There's been an accident with all the soccer girls. So I tried calling her phone. I didn't know who to call because nobody had notified us at that point. Actually, nobody notified us at all that morning. I had to call around. I called hospitals. They couldn't give me anything because of HIPAA. I called Mr. Scannell because I had his number, and he's the one who told me his daughter, that Caitlin, had passed. So I didn't want to call any more parents because that is not what I wanted to hear, but I didn't know who to call.
At 7 o'clock that morning, I received a call from Sabrina's mom, and she knew that I was there. And she asked me if I knew anything about her daughter or how she was. My wife was also an EMT. She was here on the scene that night also. I knew she was dead. I couldn't tell her over the phone that her daughter was dead. The next day, my wife and I went there, and we apologized. We went to the Scannells. We went to all three of the girls that passed.
I remember that when we were traveling down the road, speed was increasing, and then as we had started to go up the hill, we took air, and I remember landing. We were all laughing and screaming, not out of fright, but out of fun. But then the vehicle did a little bounce, and there was dead silence because we swerved right, left, right, left, and hit the ditch and missed the telephone pole. So then we were continuing through the field at a high amount of speed, and I remember the first couple rolls. Then, since I hadn't been buckled, I remember the moment that I hit my head up on top of the roof of the vehicle, and I can still recall the sound exactly of the vehicle But after that moment of hitting my head, I blacked out, and a while after I woke up on the ground, and nothing felt real. I didn't know what was going on really. I literally felt like I was in a nightmare. It still is a nightmare.
Hello?
Hi there, Kylie?
Yes.
Hi there, this is the 911 center calling.
Do you know my location?
Okay, hold on. Yes, I have you on Beechnut Drive?
Yes, Beechnut Drive.
Okay, hold on one second. I've got officers and multiple ambulances responding, okay? Just
Awesome, that is thank you.
Okay, I need you to stay on the line with me for 1 second, okay?
Okay. Teresa, honey. Teresa, where are you going?
Okay.
Are you okay, Teresa? Teresa.
Okay, Kylie, you said there's 9 people injured, correct?
9 or 8, I can't remember right now. I think just 8.
Okay, is anybody pinned in?
I don't see anyone pinned in right now.
Okay.
But my car is pretty smushed.
Okay, is anybody unconscious?
One is not responding to me. The rest of them are awake.
And were you involved, or did you just come across it?
I was driving.
Okay.
Teresa, are you okay, honey?
Are you all teenagers, or?
We're all teenagers, yes. I was driving too fast down the road, and I got us all into an accident. Here, I see the ambulance. I'm going to get it.
As a crash reconstructionist investigating this crash, we were able to determine the following. In the distance, you'll see the far hill, and then you'll see the closest hill to us, and then behind us is a third hill. So what happens is the vehicle comes over the hill in the distance at a high rate of speed. The road then comes down to the hill, it levels off for a short distance, and then you'll crest the small hill. Now, you're coming over the small hill, again, well in excess of the speed limit. You come down into this knoll where the bike trail is, and then you'll go up the third hill. And when they crest this third hill is where the problem happens. When they come over the small hill and they start to go down, the speed at which they're traveling, it creates the weight of the vehicle is going to come off the springs. So now you're going to lose a little steering. You come down into the hollow, if you will, is the best way I can describe it, or knoll. Now the weight on the vehicle is compressed onto the springs, and so when they come up the third hill, you have that little extra kick that takes the weight off the springs. And at that point, the vehicle, when I say airborne, I don't mean that the vehicle is 5, 10 feet, 15 in the air. What it does is it becomes airborne, and what I mean by that is the tires come off the roadway. And it could be 2 inches, it could be 5 inches, it could be 6 inches. But now the tires have lost contact with the road. So now you've lost all steering. And in essence, what happens is, if it's a matter of the driver just merely inputting a little bit of steering to the left, or if it was caused because the weight of the vehicle came up, now the tires are off, and with that weight, does it just enough turn her? And when the car lands back on the tires aren't straight, they're canted a little bit to the left. So now, of course, the vehicle wants to veer to the left. So at that point, the driver then tries to correct by input steering to the right. Well, she gets it corrected, but now there's a little overcorrection. Now she's got to steer it back to the left. And what happens is you get the serpentine effect. And what I mean by that is left, right, by steering back and forth, back and forth. But once you lose it, you've lost it. And there's not much steering input that you're going to be able to correct it if you're going that fast. Slower speeds, you can correct it. Faster speeds, once you lose it, you've lost it. So after the vehicle is done serpentining, it now travels into the ditch. And prior to entering the field, there's a large stone. The passenger side of that vehicle strikes the stone. That in turn then causes the vehicle to pitch towards the driver's side. And at that point, it starts its roll over the 350 feet. And during that 350 feet is when occupants then are thrown from the vehicle.
Well, those little hills that you have on the roads that you can go over and it makes your stomach drop, that's what we were going for. And it just, I've been over them before at way slower speeds, and they still made my stomach drop.
Everything happened so fast, and nobody told the driver to slow down. We all had a chance to tell them to slow down, and we didn't. The fun was not worth any of this whatsoever.
I broke my back in 3 spots. I lost vision in my left eye. I broke both arms. I had severe lacerations to my head and brain damage.
I still will find myself sitting in class or trying to fall asleep. I'll wake up at 3 in the morning and I'll have flashbacks. And I can still hear the noise of the silence of us girls in the vehicle from when we knew it wasn't right. And I can still hear the sound of the crashing, of the rolling of the vehicle.
The cause of the crash was due to high speed. This was a dangerous road, and to mix the dangerous road with speed is not going to equal anything good. And because of that high speed, every second of my day, my heart aches for the rest of my life, and along with a lot of other people, and all because of one mistake of the high rate of speed. It just, forever, we have to suffer for one moment of what they thought or the driver thought was going to be a thrill, is now we have to suffer.
I don't call it an accident, I call it a crash, because going at such an excessive speed and having this crash occur, that was a deliberate, conscious choice of the driver to go that fast. She put her life, the driver, in jeopardy, and she put every passenger's life in jeopardy. It's just a miracle that there are 6 survivors from that crash, because the excessive speed,
and that they can all
9
walk
of
and
them.
talk to them.
Yes, and that there's no, to me it's a miracle, because if you saw the vehicle, it was terribly, just every window blown out, tires gone. We saw the vehicle months later, because I had to see that vehicle and put my hand on the seat where my daughter took her last breaths.
There's images in my mind from that night that will never go away. They're in there forever. It is something you cannot fathom unless you see it.
As a deputy for 31 years and being involved in crash reconstruction, there seems to be a certain underlying factor in a lot of crashes, and that's speed. And if you're a passenger in a vehicle and you feel that that driver is going too fast, you need to, for your own safety, tell that driver to slow down. I guess my thought is that you have a choice. You can be a continuation of the problems that are on the highway, which is being aggressive, excessive speed, following too close, taking unnecessary risks, being inattentive. Or you can be part of the solution. Drive the speed limit, increase that following distance, be patient, and you have a choice, which you're going to choose.
That is a message I want parents to remind their children every time they walk out the door, to drive responsible. Speed kills. You
can never say it enough.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with repeating it.
And kids have to understand, our young adults have to understand, when they take that wheel, they are responsible for everybody in that vehicle.
There's just so much that can happen, and you could blow a tire out, you could lose a tie rod, brake, you could have something run out ahead of you, a farmer's dog, you could have a child. There's recreational trails that someone could be crossing. There could be another vehicle that's coming towards you and you're losing control, and it's never safe. And because of it, there's 3 lives lost, and there were several injured. And these were lives. This wasn't an event that happened. This was a speed, and you can't move on that easily. And you never get a second chance after that. There's not a second chance. There's one chance there, and it was taken the wrong way, and as a result, that there's.
I guess we don't want anybody else to have to go through this either. It's like. I mean, things happen so fast with kids. I guess sometimes kids figure if they don't say nothing, things will be, you know, maybe they didn't realize how fast she was going, but I mean, maybe someone would have said something, she might have slowed down and all 9 girls would still be here instead of only 6.
And parents, you have to let your kids know that when they start driving, they are responsible for everyone in that vehicle. Whatever happens, whether it's an accident or not, they are responsible for the results of what happens.
Because we got 2 older sons, and we always tell them that. I mean, that's so tough because Sabrina didn't drive, so we just hope that when she was with somebody, well, that was the first time she was with older girls. Just kind of assumed every parent told their kids the same thing, you know, because yeah, you're responsible for their safety.
And if your child feels that they're not in a safe situation, you know, tell them to call home, tell them to, you know, give you a call to come pick them up, because I'd rather see them, and I'm sure you would rather see them be in a safe vehicle than having to get in a car that they don't feel safe in.
That car went 800 and some feet from the time it left the road. I think it rolled 5 times or 6 times. The speed thing is a major thing. We need to slow down. Kids need to slow down. Like I said, maybe kids should see some of these pictures of these kids that are killed rather than hiding it from them. You know, maybe if you'd see the blood, maybe if you'd see the head that was split open, maybe if you'd see some of this stuff, you guys would remember what the heck's going on. But they don't have a clue. They forget. They think they're invincible. They think that nothing's going to happen to them.
I am very fortunate that I am still here, but speed does kill. Clearly, it is seen that I don't have 3 great friends of mine, and I never will have them back, and I would do anything to have them back in a heartbeat, but speed kills. If I could turn the clock back, I would in a heartbeat. Wouldn't be an option. I would do anything to have those 3 girls back here with me. Do anything to not have to go through what I do on a daily basis, and to not have seen what I saw, and I would turn the clock back if I could and say something, slow down, anything.
After going through this experience, I think it's important for people to follow the speed limits because there's a reason they're there, and it's for your safety. And if you ever are going above the speed limit where you're uncomfortable, or somebody else is, that you should really just tell them to stop before anything bad happens where you can't go back.
Don't be scared to speak up. It doesn't make you a wimp. It doesn't make you a bad kid for saying slow down. It would have saved some lives if I would have done it. And I would give anything, like I said, to go back and say slow down, please.
I love taking pictures, and my daughter Katie loved being in them, so the 2 of us together, it was a lot of fun. And this picture frame here represents all the pictures that Katie will never be in as a result of the high-speed crash. This would have been a picture of her with her friends playing soccer, and a picture of her at her junior prom, and a picture of her doing a powder puff game in school with the girls, and a picture of her graduating her senior year, and a picture of us going with her to different colleges, looking at where she's going to go, and a picture of us going to Germany to see her brother over there, vacation. There's so many pictures that are not here that would have been if it wasn't because of this speed that killed her.
We were just all having fun and didn't think anything bad was going to happen. Nobody ever thinks anything bad's going to happen.
This is a difficult case. You've got the lives of 3 promising young women that are gone. You can't bring them back. It was just a horrific scene with these girls, one dead, some dying, all or most very seriously injured. I really don't care a whole lot whose idea it was or whether they were egging her on to do that. I just don't give anybody a break for peer pressure. I never have. The bottom line is whether it was her idea or one of the other girls or whatever, she was driving the car. She was responsible for the safety of the other girls.
That night, it was just a bunch of girls having fun. We were at Katie's house, and we were painting each other's nails, and then we decided to go to Taco Bell, and then we TP'd a friend's house, and I just remember everyone having a blast and having a smile on their face, and we couldn't stop laughing. And even in the car up to the last second, I just remember hearing laughs.
We're all teenagers, yes. I was driving too fast down the road, and I got us all into an accident.